All right, welcome. Today, we are diving deep into the world of data collection. It's that systematic process researchers use to gather up all the information they need to answer their biggest questions. So let's get right into it.
So let's just imagine for a second. You're using some brand new app and it promises it's going to make you fluent in another language. How do you, or maybe more importantly, how does a researcher actually know if it's doing anything? Well, it all starts by collecting the right kind of evidence. And that right there brings us to the first, and honestly, the most important principle in any research study. Before you even think about picking a tool or collecting a single piece of data, you have to know exactly what question you're trying to answer.
Researchers have a name for this. They call it alignment, and it is pretty much the golden rule. Your question, the way you design your study, and the tools you use to collect data, they all have to be perfectly in sync. I like to think of it like a three-legged stool. If one of those legs is off, the whole thing just falls right over.
And believe me, this isn't just some minor academic detail we're talking about. As the expert Zoltan Dernier points out, getting this alignment wrong is one of the most common and, damaging mistakes a researcher can make. It can completely tank a study's results. So the crucial point to remember is the question always comes first.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The type of question you ask actually sends you down one of two totally different research paths. Let's explore those right now.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you have the quantitative path. This is all about measurement. It asks questions like, to what extent? And it's focused on hard numbers, things like speech rate. But on the other side, you've got the qualitative path, which is all about understanding. It asks how, and it explores these really complex experiences and beliefs. The topic might be the same, in this case, AI chatbots, but the goals? They're completely different.
Okay, so let's pop open that first toolbox. These are the quantitative tools, the ones that are designed for precise measurement and, statistical analysis.
First up, we've got surveys and questionnaires. Now, these are incredibly powerful for gathering really specific data from a whole bunch of people, where everyone gets asked the exact same questions. They're definitely the go-to tool for measuring things like attitudes, frequencies, or perceptions across a big group.
And here is a perfect example of what you'd find. This little guy is called a Likert scale. See, it doesn't just ask a simple yes or no, it actually measures the intensity of someone's agreement. This is so cool because it allows researchers to turn opinions into numbers that they can then analyze statistically.
Next up is another major quantitative tool, and it's one you're probably all familiar with, the standardized test. Think of big exams like the TOEFL or the IELTS. What they do is provide a really reliable and validated benchmark to measure a person's ability in a consistent way, no matter who or where they are.
But here's the thing. In research, it's not about passing or failing. Researchers use these scores for some really specific jobs. They might use them to make sure the groups in a study are comparable from the start, or to control for a person's baseline ability. Or they might use them to measure whether a new teaching method actually caused any improvement. These tests basically provide that objective yardstick.
All right, let's switch gears. We're going to put the measuring tape away and open up our second toolbox. This one isn't about numbers at all. It's about gathering rich, detailed stories to get a really deep, contextual understanding of something.
And the star of this qualitative toolbox is often the semi-structured interview. This is where a researcher literally sits down with someone to explore their experiences, their beliefs, their perspectives, all in their own words. It's really more of a guided conversation than an interrogation.
Now, the power of an interview lives or dies by the questions you ask, so check this one out. Do you like using AI tools? It's just so closed. It pretty much invites a yes or no, and then the conversation just grinds to a halt. You don't learn much, right?
But now, look at this. This question is a game changer. It's open-ended, and it asks for a specific story. It doesn't just ask if they like the tool, it asks them to show how it works in the real world. This, right here, is how you get that rich, detailed, super useful data.
Okay, another essential tool in the qualitative kit is taking field notes. This is basically what researchers do when they're conducting observations. Sitting in the back of a classroom, for example, and just documenting everything that's going on. And doing this right is actually a two-step process. First, you've got your descriptive notes. This is just the objective facts. What did you literally see and hear? No opinions. Then you have your reflective notes. This is the researchers running commentary, their questions, their hunches, and their first-pass interpretations of what it all might mean.
So, we've got tools for measuring and we've got tools for understanding. How in the world does a researcher know which one to pick? Let's bring it all together. This table really lays it all out, doesn't it? If your goal is to measure attitudes across a huge population, a questionnaire is cost-effective and easy to scale. If you need to explore someone's complex beliefs really deeply, well, nothing is going to beat an interview. And if you want to capture authentic, real-time interactions as they happen, field notes are absolutely the way to go. The choice, as always, goes right back to that research question. And when you boil it all down, that really is the big idea here. Great research isn't defined by how fancy or complex it is. It's defined by clarity and by that alignment we talked about. It's all about having the wisdom to pick the simplest, most direct tool that will actually get the job done and answer your question.
So, as we wrap this up, I'm going to turn it back to you. Whether it's about a language app or a new teaching method or just anything you're curious about, start thinking like a researcher. What's the one question you really want to answer, and what tool would you choose to find the facts?